Without exaggerating things, this is the best Horizons episode I have seen.
Pokemon Ranger, I choose you!
What's up my dear boys and girls, it's Ranger Boy here and welcome to not just an ordinary review of Pokemon Horizons, but what in my opinion is the absolute best of this new anime era that I have seen so far. So if you want to know more, then grab some popcorn, grab some cookies and let's do this. Right from the get-go you can tell that this episode is something truly special, since they just skipped the opening entirely and went straight to the episode itself. Okay. Interesting. Surely something new and eye-opening will be revealed in this adventure, but in fact, we actually continue where we left off from last week's episode, with the children wondering about whether or not Reed's Pikachu can actually fly. So together with Dot, they try to expose the secret by making a YouTube video, and surely enough, our professor will reveal all his secrets while being exposed to the internet. Well, needless to say, Dot's plan on becoming more popular than Iono did not go as planned. Friede in fact did not reveal his Pikachu secret, and with heads hanging down their shoulders, the trio are executing their plan B, asking the other crew members of the ship about Pikachu's secret, which really is the more logical plan, but even someone like Dot would do anything for those YouTube views. So they ask around, and while hitting a dead end with both Marley and Murdoch, they seem to struck some gold with Ludlow, who tells the main characters that Cap was the reason Friede formed the Rising Voltaclers to begin with, and how the fateful encounter changed both of their lives. So with that initial clue, they try to finalize the puzzle by asking ship waifu Orla, and she exposes quite the detail, that both Orla and Friede are childhood friends. Nice. They lived and met each other in Kanto. Okay, interesting. But then she moved to Hoenn. Okay, I have to admit, that is kinda funny. But funny coincidences aside, the story of Friede and Pikachu was more than just a coincidence, and with the kids already in the palm of her hands, Orla decides to let everyone gather around Friede and Cap, and as a result of group pressure, the professor gives in and finally reveals the story of how he met his partner. So, changing the scenery into a flashback one, including the classic black bars, we see a, younger Friede being bored out of his mind, having quit his company job and seemingly wasting his youth away, until he gets a fateful encounter from a freshly married Luca, aka Lico's mom, who invites Friede to a drink while listening to her disciples' problems. He does seem to admire that Luca made huge steps in life by getting married and having a child, which then leads to them talking about Friede's stagnation in life, quitting his researcher job because he didn't want to be stuck in a lab, and having nothing to research since he seems to have studied everything there is. Recognizing that her beloved student seems to be at a dead end, Luca shares her latest discovery with him, and after the morning dawn is upon us, both of them observe what seems to be nothing but just an ordinary Pikachu, which is to no interest to the genius that is Friede, until he suddenly witnesses the Pikachu soaring through the air, a sight to behold, which instantly grips his heart, and for the first time in a very long time, Friede is interested in researching a Pokemon. The first step to do so is introducing himself to his newfound research object, and both Pikachu and later on Luca don't seem to show any interest in Friede whatsoever. Ouch! So he spends the whole day chasing after the special one, until he finally calms down for a bit. But as soon as he sees the young professor approaching him again, Pikachu switches back to bragging mode and does some squats with his tail. Such a badass! Sadly, exhaustion and hunger caught up to the little fella, and even with Friede providing him with food, by the time the next day arrives, both are still in odds with each other. And the young genius seems to gotten used to all of Pikachu's shenanigans, until he receives what we call the Ash Ketchum special. That still won't change Friede's overall curiosity, and while talking to Luca, it's been revealed that he already analyzed every detail regarding how exactly the mouse Pokemon is able to quote-unquote fly, and while puzzling all the pieces together, he acknowledges the genius of Pikachu and how compared to the little buddy, Friede is far from a genius. By the way, the Lico budging in during their conversation, absolutely adorable! But with all the objective facts and technicalities aside, there's one burning question that keeps bothering the researcher. Why? Why is Pikachu bothering with all the training and all the pain? Why does he want to desperately fly through the air? Coming to the conclusion that all the data and all the analysis in the world won't be able to answer his question, Friede finally gives in to his desires, and instead of following his logic, he is now following his heart. And with an absolutely stunning piece of animation, we witness Friede for the first time in forever moving forward in life, giving into his emotions, and with determination in mind, he steadily moves forward until he witnesses the reason why Cap wanted to fly, to witness the beautiful horizon at its highest peak. Stunned by this sight, both can't help but to admire the view. In fact, it was so beautiful that Cap totally forgot to use his tail, and if it wasn't for Friede, this situation could have been really ugly. Luckily, all ends up well, and impressed of how Pikachu opened his eyes towards this new horizon, he asked him to be his partner. The mouse Pokemon agrees, and when we see Friede approaching both Ludlow and Orla to transform Ludlow's ship into an airship, Orla agrees, and despite not receiving any sort of financial compensation, because no matter if past or present, Friede will always be poor, Orla just joins the crew as another kind of payment. The flashback then ends with Pikachu being named the captain of the ship, and with his fateful encounter in mind, the group from that point on was known as the Rising Vortaclers. The episode ends with Liko being more impressed by her mom actually being Friede's teacher rather than the whole story itself, her realization that her mom hired the Rising Vortaclers on purpose so that Liko can meet Friede, and the episode ends with them slowly but surely approaching the Galar region. Wow, that was a long recap. So without any more hesitation, impressions. Without a doubt, this has been the best Horizons episode so far, and I might exaggerate if I say this right now, but I think that even after the series will end, this will be known as one of the best episodes in the entire Horizons franchise. One of the things that really carried this episode was the story of young Friede, not only because of how emotionally investing his backstory was thanks to his numerous interactions with Pikachu, but most importantly, in my opinion, his story is something that is relatable to most people, especially young adults, and how you can easily apply his story to the real world. A young man who, after finishing his studies, seemingly being aimless, doesn't really know what to do after finishing studies or quitting his job, and in the end seemingly wasting his youth away while not making any kind of effort to actually make the first step towards adventure. At the same time, it's also the story of a prodigy who is so good at what he does that he got bored of everything and seemingly arrived at a dead end in his life. And the combination of aimlessness and boredom is something many young people in real life encounter after they finish college or university, being aimless and bored. So to quote-unquote pass some time, they are going to waste their life with other stuff until they realize that it's too late. And just like many people in real life, Friede would have also continued his lifestyle of wasting his life away if it wasn't for the kick in the butt that he received from both his teacher Luca and later on from Pikachu. Him witnessing the hard work of something he didn't understand was the necessary wake-up call for Friede to finally pull himself together and actually do something in life besides just being bored and relying on his status as a so-called genius, which in the end led to the young professor finally making his first step forward, which ultimately led to his encounter and capture of Cap, the construction of the ship, and founding the Rising Vortaclers. I could also talk about other things like the consistently beautiful animation, the involvement of both Ludlow and Orla in this episode, or Liko's realization during the episode, but I think that's not really necessary, because the most important thing in this episode was indeed the way they told Friede's story, and how in a way it was an indirect message and call from the anime towards young adults, and how they should use their youth and their potential to their fullest extent, because one day you will regret not doing so. So in short, an absolute banger of an episode on the outside with a deep and beautiful message within. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this review. What is your opinion? Tell me, and just like always, see you guys in the comments down below. Bye guys!